Hello, and welcome back to day 10 of Saved Before Christmas. Thank you guys for just being able to come along with us on this journey towards Christ and towards a better relationship with Him. Thank you for being able to stick it through. If you truly are watching, we've made it to double-digit days. This is a great accomplishment, and it's a great ability to be able to watch this and follow Christ, especially during such a time where the enemy is so in our face and so trying to direct us towards a more pagan idea of Christmas. Okay, the enemy, a lot of people get this wrong. A lot of people think Satanism is just this idea of I am going to worship the devil. That's not true. The biggest thing about Satanism and satanic ideas is thyself is thy master. Okay, the whole idea is worship anything you want except for God. Just follow this one thing. Don't follow this one thing. Besides that, you're fine. Which is why we as Christians categorize people into two things. That's saved and not saved. You're either saved or you're not. Okay? And the not has a whole bunch of different categories. But the answer to all of them is no. And that's what's so important about it. You see, when you are truly saved, when you truly have this faith in Christ and you're truly able to, the most raw form of this is speak it and say it to people and confess it and minister it, they are the ones who will face the most backlash. And it can be on either a minor scale or a major scale. Okay, it's a spectrum of backlash. As Jesus Christ says, you will be hated, persecuted, and shunned because of your faith in me for my name's sake. The first person to be martyred for Christianity was our God. It was Jesus Christ, who was sacrificed, who was executed by the Romans. He survived, he lived, he's still alive today, but he was the first form of trying to silence this faith and this idea. The first generation of disciples and apostles all faced the same backlash. I will go over it in just a minute. And every single generation following has also received that same backlash. Explain this, okay? If you're truly not a believer, or even if you are, try and explain this. Why is Christianity the one religion that you are allowed to openly mock and you're allowed to openly make fun of? Why? Any other religion, you are shunned, you are called some kind of name, you're called a bigot. Christianity is openly mocked in media all day long, in movies, in shows, in comedy sketches. Faith, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, it is the number one mocked faith. Why? Because it's real. That's why. But not only will that faith be mocked, so will you. And that is very important to think about. Let's go over the apostles. The author of the first book in the New Testament, Matthew, was hogtied to either a carriage or a horse and dragged through the streets and died of asphyxiation. Died due to him being strangled and rash and pulled and sliding through the streets. The first author of the New Testament. Peter, who denied Jesus Christ 3 times, in the ballpark about 20, 30 years later, was crucified. But did he say, crucify me? No, he said, crucify me upside down, because I'm not worthy of being crucified the way my Lord did. His brother Andrew, crucified on an X. Bartholomew, another disciple, was skinned alive. The first disciple to be executed was James, who was stabbed in the back with a sword. John was boiled alive. However, he survived. The only apostle in the first generation, besides Judas, who killed himself, to evade being a martyr. Not necessarily because he wanted to be, or not necessarily because they didn't want him to be killed, but because he was able to survive. Even actually before Jesus Christ, the person who was executed, not necessarily because of what he believed, but because of what the queen wanted, was John the Baptist. Head cut off. You know who else's head was chopped off? Paul, the author of Romans and Corinthians and Thessalonians and Colossians and Galatians and Ephesians and Philippians and Thessalonians and Titus and Timothy, the author of the New Testament. He wrote the majority of the New Testament. And books I didn't even include, like Philemon, the letter to Philemon. He was beheaded. Every single one of these first generation apostles, besides those two, were martyred. And we, as 1,000th or 2,000th generation of apostles, will also face this same type of persecution and backlash. Just recently, there was 21 Christians executed by a terrorist organization, all of them confessing and dying with Jesus Christ on their lips as their throats were slit one by one. Even today, you see this persecution. In Korea recently, North Korea, a family, including a 2-year-old infant, was jailed for possessing a Bible. Christianity is openly not allowed. It's openly persecuted in our society. You will face that same backlash. It can be just because you're mocked or made fun of or bullied. It can all the way from there, all the way up to murdered and executed and tried. And what does Jesus say about this? What does Peter and Paul say about this? Smile. Be happy about it. Turn the other cheek. Why? Because you're doing something right. If I am not being correct in my followings, in my convictions, and if my faith is wrong and I'm being sent to hell currently, the enemy is not going to spend time attacking me. But he will if I'm on the long, winding, narrow path to the pearly gates. He will if I'm on my way to life in eternity with Jesus Christ of Nazareth. That's the important part we have to look at. If we're persecuted, clearly we're doing something right. So do not be deterred or derailed. Do not turn around because the road gets tough. Instead, keep going faster. Always get back on that path. There's several detours that we, as Christians, personally, I have taken backwards hundreds of miles. We keep walking down that path. We keep going, no matter what kind of sin we've accidentally stumbled into, or what kind of attack the enemy has thrown at us that we failed to realize. No matter what, the most important thing is we keep going forward. Have a blessed day.